about litigation in heart surgery. Thank you.
Good noon to everyone. My respected chairperson Christopher Barat, Michael Kalusi and Leonardo Carasola, and all the legends of herniology sitting in the auditorium. Today, the topic allocated to me is the litigations in hernia surgery. Friends, I am from India and I bring the greetings from our father of our nation, Mahatma Gandhi, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, and our Prime Minister Narendra Bhai Modi. The place where I belong is western region of the India, Ahmedabad, and these all legendary persons are belonging to my place, and I bring the greetings for all of you. The topic allocated is litigations, and the word litigations in Oxford Dictionary means that it's a process of legal action with the synonyms of legal proceedings, legal action or lawsuits. Friends, you know very well that each day surgeons must make the momentous decisions. Who should undergo the surgical treatment? When should the operation be done? What procedure should be used and how should the condition and decisions be explained to a patient and sometimes to the parents of the patients also. A lack of information or a misinformation on the part of the surgeon leaves him or her open to attack, and that's why an ounce of prevention is always better than 1 pound of cure. Friends, at the outset I must thank Dr. Campanelli and the Milan conference, which has provided me an opportunity in this pre-lunch hunger contraction meeting to have the brainstorming exercises of this topic of litigations, which is a reality in the day-to-day practice. There is no need to discuss these types of hernias and the varieties of the surgeries which we are adopting at present. We know, friends, the complication is the main cause for the litigations, and to name few, it's a hematoma formation, the visceral injury, and intestinal perforation, where the highest amount has been ordered by the US government, recurrence, infection, chronic pain and nerve injury, which is the commonest problem for the litigations, wound complications, and testicular injury. These are the main important complications that takes the surgeon to the litigations. And at present the time has come that every patient today is a potential litigant, and every doctor in the society today is a soft target because it is easily targetable in the society. And our cause of concern is incidence of the frivolous litigations, which is alarmingly growing. The incidence of hospital violence is also growing, and there is the worsening of the doctor-patient relationship in the society. The day was there that when the doctor was considered as a god, but now the doctor is considered as a professional or a business person who does the business of doing the medical surgical practice. And here the role of media is coming, which is usually the negative and against the medical profession. The government and the administration is usually during such situations, and there are very few medical legal experts. I have studied both surgery as well as the law, but very few people are there who have the medical legal practice in the field, and lawyers and our own doctors colleagues who are practicing in the same city or in the same situation, they exploit the situation. So these are all the cause of concern we have to consider in our mind. The litigations are filed usually because of the operator error, and that is either during surgery or sometimes after the surgery, delay in identifying the complications. The improper or the wrong consent process, and sometimes with the problems like implants which we are using during the surgery. So these are the things which have to consider while we considering for the litigations in surgery. Friends, the most important part is the consent, and you know it very well that human body is a personal property of every individual, and individual has the full authority to take any decisions regarding his body, and that is why the consent is very much required. Every human has a right to determine what should be done with his body, and a surgeon who performs an operation without his patient's consent commits an assault for which he is liable in damages. This is in our country's law, but it is not necessary. Each and every country has their own law, but the consent is a mandatory process. And friends, this is the article where they have evaluated the patient understanding and recall of the consent process, and it was found at the conclusion that the recall of the consent is very poor. As a result, repeating the information stated and providing the additional resource may reinforce the consent process. So this is the ultimate results that study shows that consent process usually carried out by the surgeon is very poor. And I have put down two examples of the consent. One surgeon who is seeing the hernia patient, and he will say to the patient that I will fix your hernia and you will never have any trouble with it, and you will be running same night without any trouble. Friends, you know that as a physician what we can guarantee is care, but cure is in the hand of the Almighty and we cannot do it. But if you see the words and the meaning of the words, it leads that everything is in the hand of the surgeon. The correct surgeon who will guide the patient like this, that with your consent I will repair your hernia with so and so technique. So he will discuss the different modalities of the techniques, and most of the patients who had been treated by me don't have trouble with same hernia again. So this is the modesty which is required in practice. At the same time, nowadays the era of the laparoscopic surgery and conversion to the open surgery is invited many times. But friends, remember that the conversion in the laparoscopic surgery is not negligence. Convert always to the open surgery before you make any complications, and always take the consent in any laparoscopic surgery regarding, if required, that open surgery will be carried out. These are the essential elements of the informed consent, which is very much requirement of the day. That you have to disclose the nature of the proposed procedure. You have to discuss the reasonable alternatives, the material benefits, risk and uncertainties related to each alternative, the possibility of alteration of the procedure if you have to carry out, that also has to be discussed with the patient, and you have to provide the patient the opportunity to clear all the doubts and queries in his mind, and then he has to accept, and that sort of the signature and witness of the relatives has to be taken with proper understanding. This is the paper published for the litigations following the groin hernia in England. And friends, it concludes that the patient should be fully informed of the incidence of testicular injury and chronic pain. This is the most important part, which is usually not done by the surgeon during the consent process. Approaches minimizing the visceral and vascular injury, particularly in laparoscopic repair, should be adopted to reduce the litigations and improve the patient care. This is the rise in the litigations that happen during the process. This shows the different varieties of the complications and their relationship with the trends in the litigations. And friends, you realize that the most common cause is the ischemic orchitis, and that is the second one is the chronic pain. So these are the most important things that you have to keep in mind, as well as you have to take during the consent process. This is another important case where the medical malpractice and hernia repair was analyzed, and we observed that the complications were present in 20 of 44, means 45% of the suits, and it was concluded that complications and death resulting from alleged clinical negligence play a significant role in both the initiation and the outcome of the malpractice litigation. Retained foreign bodies and lack of informed consent account for roughly 1/3 of the malpractice litigations associated with hernia repairs. Many of these suits may be avoided with proper patient education and documentation of such, along with standard operative preventive measures. This is the claims that has been settled sometimes outside, and ultimately these complications are recognized as a risk of the procedure. And ensuring the patient is aware of the risk and that there is documentation to support this will greatly assist in successfully defending a claim arising from the issues. It's a very famous case where $12 million were awarded in the woman who has claimed that her surgeon perforated her colon during what was supposed to be a simple and straightforward surgical procedure. The lawsuit alleged that the woman suffered extremely serious and permanent injury. The court papers indicate that the doctor was performing a hernia correction procedure in 2008 when the woman's colon was punctured. The mistake resulted in a serious infection, a heat attack, organ failure and septic shock that left the woman in a coma for a month. Her condition required more surgeries to correct. Doctors also had to remove the most of the woman's large intestines, and the award was highest which was found in the literature, and that was of 12 million. The other things which we have to consider is the different varieties of the mesh and grafts which we are using. These are the different varieties of the meshes we are using, and these are the lawsuits filed in different cases against the hernia meshes. It is a Kojal mesh which has been taken back few years back by the bar. Allodum was also, and the Prosil was also from the Ethicon. They were also recalled under the certain situations. So we have to be very careful while choosing the mesh, and the consent of the patient has to be taken. Dr. Bruce Ramshaw, the current past president of the American Hernia Society, tells that he believes we are just seeing the tip of the iceberg in hernia repair injuries to patients. With about 1 million procedures a year, even with a 1% complication rate, that leaves 10,000 patients a year with severe complication. And according to FDA, the most common adverse events following hernia repair with mesh are pain, infection, hernia recurrence, adhesions, bowel obstruction. In some cases, mesh can contract and migrate and perforate other organs of the bowel, causes the sepsis. Friends, I had gone through the Google search, and there were 1,21,000 results. So this shows the alarming situations regarding these different varieties of these, and the NHS has started the litigation authority specifically in the hernia surgery. Friends, the robotic is also creeping in. I delivered a lecture on the global status of the robotic surgery at 39th World Congress of the International College of Surgeons. And friends, you know it very well, the robotics is taking up specifically for hernia surgery also, and we have to be careful in selecting the technology. The technology is always neutral, and it is neither good or evil. It is up to us to breathe the moral and ethical life into these technologies. We should apply them with empathy and compassion for each and every patient. Robotic surgery is one example of such technology that may reduce the operating morbidity, hospital stay and recovery, while potentially improving the clinical outcomes. But at what point do the benefits justify the increased expenses? That we have to justify properly before selecting any procedures. Friends, the Workmen Compensation Act is also another important aspect that possibly at the time I have not touched in details, because majority of the surgeons are not facing, but the person who is working with the industries, they have to face that part also. And there are many cases that has come forward under the Workmen's Compensation Act also. But important thing as a surgeon, the religion of the surgical procedure is that if we are not able to help the patient, at least we should never harm the patient. And if we consider this thing in our mind, I think we will be out of any litigant situations. We have to be honest, frank and truthful with the patients, and that will definitely prevent us from the court of law. And at the end I would say, remember RC. My short name is RC Shah, and that's why I put down this slide. And if you follow the RC, you will never have to be in the litigation situations. And what RC means is record completely. As a surgeon, we are the poor recording personalities. We do not have the details in the record, and that's why we are facing many problems in the court of law. Always respect the colleagues. The professional colleagues has to be respected by you. If any mistake if you have found, never magnify it to the patient and create the best rapport with the client. So that is the best situation to have the things, and always provide the reasonable care. Never assure the false picture or the rosy pictures, but provide them that you will be able to provide the reasonable care, and that too at the reasonable cost. And if you follow these all RCs, I think you will never have to be there in the court of law. And if at all you have to be, please visit our website www.medicallegalconsultant.org. We are there to help you out. Friends, I am Hindu, and our Bhagavad Gita, our Bible says that for that which is born is certain, and for the death the birth is certain. Therefore, grieve not over that which is inevitable. We have to be living in the situation. If we are living in the ocean, we should not be of the crocodile. So whatever situation has arisen in the society, but we should never be afraid. Try to help the patients, and that will help you out definitely without any litigations. And I hope, I thanks at the end with praying for all of you that you should have a litigation-free surgical practice. Thank you very much. I would like to invite you that on 24th